Traffic stalled on the bridge, while my son's breath thinned to a whistle, and screens rose like a cold tide around us until the motorcycles came, stitching a circle of shade and courage around a child turning gray. Engines vibrated through the asphalt, kickstands bit the concrete, and a woman with silver hair and steady eyes stepped forward, calm as a lighthouse in smoke. I used to think loud bikes were just noise. That afternoon, the noise became a heartbeat we could borrow. It was a heat advisory day. The sky, the color of a penny held over a flame. Wildfire haze drifted from somewhere far away, but on the bramble overpass it felt close enough to taste. Eli, 11, freckles, backpack straps cutting lines into his shoulders, said, "Mom, I think something stung me." I glanced and saw the welt on his wrist, angry and fast. "You are okay," I said, the most mistaken words I have ever spoken. 2 minutes later, his skin flushed in patches. 3 minutes later, his lips lost their color. 4 minutes later, he fought for air like the air had turned to glass. We edged onto the divider. Horns folded into each other. Windows stayed rolled up, modern aquariums of impatience and fear. "Call 911, I shouted, my voice cracking. "I am," someone mouthed, then put their phone back to camera mode. Another person yelled, "Not cruel, just tired. Please move. There is no shoulder." I held Eli upright, tilting his head, watching panic make tunnels in my vision. He looked at me like you look at a door that won't open. "Mom," he rasped, "I can't." "I know," I said. "Stay with me." My call connected. "Ambulance ETA 12 to 15, the operator said. Professional, kind, very far away. I begged my own hands to stop shaking. A young man hopped out with his camera up, then hesitated. "I do not want to get sued," he mumbled, and filmed the sky instead. I wanted to hate him. Mostly, I understood him. We have built a country of signs and warnings and comment sections. Sometimes it scares people out of stepping forward. Then the bridge trembled soft, like an animal shaking water from its coat. Motorcycles. Not one or two. Dozens. They bled off speed in a choreographed line, chrome catching the sun, then letting it go. The leader dismounted and flipped her visor. "Name's Mama J," she said, voice low and steady. "Former ICU nurse. He is having an allergic reaction." "B," I said. "I do not have." "Got it," she said, not finishing the sentence I could not finish. A tall man with a reflective patch knelt beside Eli. "Doc," he introduced himself, already checking pulse, chest rise, color, retired firefighter. "Circle it up," Mama J called. Bikes rolled into place, forming a loose ring around us. Leather jackets became a roof. Gloved hands created shade. Someone snapped open a small oxygen canister. "I am K," a woman said, passing me a damp cloth. "I carry these because I have been here." Doc guided the mask near Eli's face, not pressing, just inviting. "Easy, buddy," he said. "In and out, match me." Eli's eyes found mine. He tried to follow Doc's pace. The sound was still a whistle, but sharper now, like a reed finding a note. "Recall 911, Mama J told me. Tell them airway compromise, bridge middle lane, community assistance on scene." I repeated the words, clinging to their shape. On the perimeter, 2 riders, Shadow and Lark, Someone called them walked car to car. Not angry. Not threatening. Just clear. Emergency medical, I heard. Make a lane. Slowly, the lane appeared. A zipper closing in reverse. Some faces stayed hard. Some softened. A few phones lowered. Cost of an ambulance is insane, a man muttered to no one. I know, Shadow said gently. But the cost of breath is higher. I do not know why that sentence opened something in me. Maybe because it was not a lecture. It was just true. Colors slipping, Doc murmured. Mama J's hand steadied the mask. Eli, she said, using his name like a rope. Can you count with me? He nodded, a tremor more than emotion. 1, she said. His chest rose. 2. His chest fell. 17 engines idled like a choir holding a low note. Sirens approached, found the lane, and poured through. EMTs slid out with the controlled speed of people who have seen the clock before. Who is maintaining airway? The first one asked. I am, Mama J said. Onset 6 to 8 minutes, Doc added. Sting to right wrist. No known prior. Reactions per mom. The EMT met my eyes. Madam, you did the right things, she said. It felt like permission to breathe for the first time. They worked. I won't describe every step. This is a story, not a tutorial, and medical care belongs to professionals. But I can tell you the sound of Eli's next breath was heavier, wetter, and then cleaner. Color crept back to his mouth like dawn you had not believed would arrive. He blinked, tears filling from somewhere warm. Mama, he whispered. I am here, I said, and the whole bridge came back into focus. Transport, the EMT called. Let us move. The lane that had seemed impossible became a ribbon. Bikers swung ahead, then aside, then ahead again. They did not bully cars. They convinced them. If courage had turn signals, these riders used them. In the ambulance, I held Eli's hand while the city slid by in amber and white. Who are they? He asked. Neighbors with engines, I said. At the ER, doors opened like a mouth that knew our names. 9 minutes from bridge to bed. 9 minutes on a day full of reasons that should make 9 minutes impossible. A nurse took Eli through swinging doors. I was left in the waiting room with my heartbeat and strangers who were starting not to be. Leather met vinyl chairs. Gloves peeled off. Everyone stared at the same floor. I can't pay you, I blurted to Mama J. She smiled like I would, offered something silly and lovely, like fruit in winter. This was not a transaction, she said. Kay handed me a paper cup of coffee. Steam curled between us. She told me how she once reacted to peanut oil at a picnic, and a stranger steadied her breathing until help arrived. Doc said he would left firefighting after a friend died, and riding helped him keep showing up without burning out. None of it felt like a TED Talk. It felt like people remembering how to be people. 2 hours stretched, then broke. A physician stepped out with eyes that told the truth. Good news, she said. He stabilized quickly. We will observe overnight, but I expect a full recovery. I folded in on myself and cried the way a building might, cleanly, the moment the fire is out. Hands rested on my shoulders. I did not know these hands this morning. Now they felt like part of the structure. They let Mama J come back with me first. Eli was tired and floaty, but present. He looked at her with baffled awe. "You are like a captain," he said. She laughed softly. "Just a mom who learned to carry a toolkit." Later, I learned the part she did not say. Her daughter had an asthma attack during a storm years ago, and the road to the hospital disappeared underwater. Help arrived late. The fact of that became a mission, and the mission became a club. Riders who commute, riders who haul groceries, riders who reroute traffic with patience and 2 fingers lifted in thanks. They called themselves Overpass Guardians. No logos, no sponsors, just a text thread and a promise. When Eli was discharged, the bikes were waiting outside like a quiet parade. They did not escort us to make a scene. They did it to make space. Neighbors came out to their porches and waved, because waving is contagious. Eli waved back, dignified as a mayor with a bandaged wrist. A week later, I got a message from an unknown number. Sunday, 8 a.m. Bramble Overpass, it read. Eli's air run. Bring water, bring sunblock, bring a story. We went. So did a crowd that looked like this city. Hairnets and high-vis vests, yoga pants and work boots, strollers and steel-toed shoes. There were printed cards about recognizing severe allergic reactions. There were reminders on how to talk to dispatchers so responders can find you faster. There was a cardboard box for small donations labeled Neighborhood First Aid Kits. There was no merchandise table, just laughter and hum and engines that idled like good dogs. Mama J handed Eli a tiny vest patched with a fabric star. Official passenger, she told him. Requirement is you keep breathing. He saluted with a solemnity that made everyone smile. We jogged and walked and rolled across the bridge that had once felt like a cliff. The haze had thinned. The sun was kinder. Phones were still there, because this is the century we live in. But a lot of them were tucked away, screened down in pockets. When we turned back, Shadow jogged beside me. People think we are loud, he said. Sometimes we are. But most days we are just trying to be audible in a world that rewards looking over helping. I nodded. I used to hear noise, I said. Now I hear timing. Showing up is timing. At home, Eli fell asleep on the couch in the golden square of late morning. I sat on the floor and wrote down everything, because stories evaporate if you do not. I wrote the heat, the smoke, the ring of motorcycles, the kindness that did not ask for permission slips. I wrote about fear of costs and fear of being wrong, and how both fears can keep us frozen. I wrote about how someone else's calm voice can hand you back your own. I did not write names of hospitals or brands or outrage at strangers, because none of that helps anyone breathe. I wrote this instead. Sometimes the fastest thing on the road is not a car. It is courage. Courage that coasts up behind you and parks between you and the worst-case scenario, then refuses to leave until the sirens are close enough to carry. A week later, Eli asked if he could take a safety class. Not a motorcycle class. A helping class. How to make space, he said, as if it were a subject at school. Mama J said she knew a place. They meet on Saturdays in the back of a hardware store that lets them borrow the parking lot. They practice guiding cars without yelling. They practice talking to dispatch like they are already on your side. They practice being the first calm voice in a loud moment. We live in a country full of opinions. We live in a country full of screens. We also live in a country full of people who will fold their jackets into shade, who will point their mirrors away so light does not sting your eyes, who will ride ahead and ask strangers to make a path for a child they will never see again. The ending you are hoping for is this one. Eli is okay. He laughs at breakfast again and asks for seconds and keeps a wristband on that says he should avoid certain foods. He thinks motorcycles are magic. I think people are. If you are watching this on your phone, I am not asking you to put it down forever. I am just asking you to remember, you have two hands. One for holding the camera later. One for holding up the sky for someone right now. Because some days, the air gets thin. And on those days, the best thing we can do for each other is simple, bright, and perfectly within policy. Show up. Make room. Help someone breathe.